And I just want to let you know that Marshall is we saw each other a little while ago, and I said, "Would you do it?" He said, "Absolutely." And it's his first time with us, but I'm sure not his last. Good fellow. He's a great friend to all of us who know him, and I'm sure you'll appreciate this. Go ahead, Cantor Loomer. I'm muting myself.
Yeah, so thank you, Stan. And just before we begin, I just want to reciprocate by saying that you never take it for granted of the memories that you hold and the things that you hang on to from your childhood. When you're 12 years old or 11 years old, someone who's 15 or 16 is so much older. And then later on, you sort of catch up and it doesn't seem like such a difference. But at that time, when you have someone who's running the Rosh Hashanah services and you're attending as a child, and they let you come up to the Amud, which was a school desk in a classroom, and lead some of the tefillot, you felt like a real macher. Stan would give me those opportunities. Also, memories of some very interesting things that I'll tell you about as we go along. But one of them in particular was I remember going to the park and with Bernie Naiman. We'd go to the park and we were lighting off these, setting off these airplanes that Stan was into, these like rocket launched airplanes that would be flying around, and all kinds of rockets, and lighting them up. It was just like a wonderful childhood to be able to do the simple things. There was no internet. So we actually played outside and did things that were creative, even if the cops came to shut us down a few times. But as well as that, one of the interesting experiences was that through Stan and USY, we brought in Shlomo Carlebach at that time. And I was a child, and made a great impression on me musically. I sing many of his songs, and having to be able to sit at his feet and hear the music being sung to you in his living room as he was developing these songs and just starting to write them and sing them was also a zechut, also a privilege. Anyway, let's start. I don't know what Sidur you're using, but I'm using the Sidur Chadash, the blue one. And if you have that, it's the Moreshet edition. And we'll start with Yedid Nefesh. Yedid Nefesh Al Harachaman Mishoch Avdecha Eretzonecha Yarutz Avdecha Kemoya Yishtachavel Mul Hadarecha Teravlo Yedinutecha Minofetzuf Vechol Tam Hadur Naeh Ziv Ha'olam Nafshi Choylat Avatecha Ana Elna Refana La Beharola Noam Zivecha Azeti Tchazek V'tikra Behayetala Simechat Olam Vatik Emunah Rachamecha V'chusana Al Beinahu V'cha Ki Zeh Kama Nichsov Nichsavti Lirab Tiferet Page 22 with Lachuna Ranana. Lechon Ranana Adonai Naria Letzor Yisheinu Arbaim Shana Kot Bedor V'Amaram Toel Vavehim Vehim Loedu Derachai Asher Nishapati Ve'api Im Yevon El Menuchati Shirul Adonai Shir Chadash Shirul Adonai Kol Haaretz Shirul Adonai Baruch Shemo Basher Miyom Le'yom Yeshuato Sapru V'Goyim Yevodo B'Chol Ha'amim Nifneotav Ki Gadol Adonai U'Mulal Me'od Enor Kol Elohim Ay Ki Kol Elohei Yamim Elilim V'Adonai Shamayim Asa Hod Ve'Hadar Lehevanav Oz V'Tiferet B'Mikdasho Havol Adonai Mishpechot Amim Havol Adonai Kavod Va'oz Havol Adonai Kevod Shemo Se'u Mincha U'Ba'ol Chatzrota Ay Ishtachavu L'Adonai B'Haran Kodesh Gilu B'Panav Kol Haaretz Imru V'Goyim Adonai Malach Av Kikon Tevel V'Altimon Yadin Amim B'Meisharim Yadin Amim B'Meisharim Yismechu Hashamayim V'Tagel Haaretz Yiram Hayam U'Meloi Yavol Sadoi V'Chol Asher Bo Asher Radenu Kol Hatziyar Lifnei Adonai Ki Hiva Lishpot Haaretz Yishpot Tevel Tzedek Ve'amim Be'emunato Ay 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 Adonai Malach Tagel Haaretz Yisbechu Im Rabim Haver Sinora Shomer Nafsho Chasidav Mi'ar Reshaim Yatzilem Or Zaru L'Tzadik U'Yisraelem Simcha Simchu Tzadikim B'Adonai Ve'odu Lezecher Kodesho Shirul Adonai Shir Chadash Ki Niflahot גילה צדקתו, זכר חסדו ואמונתו, לבית ישראל, ראו כל אספי הארץ, ישוע אלוהינו, הביאו לנו די כל הארץ, ישבו ורננו וזמרו, זמרו לנו עלי בכינור, בכינור וכל זמרה, בכל צרור וכל שופר, הביאו לפני המלך אדוני, ירם הים ומלואו, תבל ויושבה, נהרות ימחאוך, יחד ערים ירננו לפני אדוני קימה, לשפור הארץ, לשפור תבל, בצדק וימין ומישרים, יושב קרובים תנור הארץ. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו, רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו, כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו, רוממו כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו, רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו, רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו, כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו, רוממו כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו, רוממו. Page 32. הבוא לאדוני בני אלים, הבוא לאדוני כבוד ועוז, הבוא לאדוני כבוד שמו, השתחוו לאדוני בהר הקודש, כל אדוני על המים אל הכבוד הרים, אדוני על מים רבים, כל אדוני בכוח, כל אדוני בהדר, כל אדוני שובר ארזים, וישבר אדוני את ארזי הלבנון, וירקידם כמו עגל, לבנון וסיריון כמו בן רעים, כל אדוני חוצף לגודש, כל אדוני יחיל מדבר, יחיל אדוני ממקדש, כל אדוני יכול אל הילוד, ויחסון יערון, ובהיכלו כולו מרכבות, ובהיכלו כולו מרכבות, אדוני למבול ישב, וישב אדוני מלך לעולם, אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו השלום. Lecha Dodi. Remember the days when everything cost 25 cents instead of $25? And you know, one of the things that I would look forward to was going to shul with my father on Friday nights for Lecha Dodi. I loved the singing, and everybody would participate and sing along, and they had a rotation of men that would want to get up and lead the davening, and everyone would introduce new tunes, and it was really, Beth I'm talking about, was a really wonderful singing congregation, especially in those days. And, you know, I would sit beside my father, and one of the things that astounded me, one Shabbos on a Friday night, he'd always sit in the same seat right by the aisle. And I saw him. We were already at Lecha Dodi, or we were somewhere else in the davening, and he was stuck on a page. And I said to him, what are you doing on that page when we're already so far ahead on this page? And what he said to me was, I'm reading this tefillah. All of a sudden, it means something to me. And I thought, you know, like, if I think of what age my father was then, maybe he was 50 years old, and I'm already 10 years older than that now. But I think that we never grow to a point where all of a sudden we can't appreciate a certain tefillah, that it can't become meaningful to us and present differently. And it's okay to do that. Sometimes I think less is more, which means we have set prayers that we daven, but imagine if you focused on one of the tefillot and really spent time on that with kavanah, with real intent in your davening. That would be far better than reciting 10 tefillot without kavanah, of course. Anyway, Lecha Dodi, here's a new melody that I've learned recently, and then we're going to combine it with something from the 60s, because why not have some fun? So we'll see if you can think of what the melody is when we get there. Here's a new tune that maybe some of you are singing in your shuls already. Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor zachor b'dibur echad ishbi'anu el hamiuchad. Adonai echad ushbo echad l'shemo tiferet v'linilah. Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat לכבודך כי מקור הברכה בראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשר מחשבה תחילה. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. מלך ימלוכה ומצאי מתוך ההפכה רב לשבת בעמק הבכה והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה. Everyone, Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. כתנערי, oh sorry, מקדש מלך. מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה ומצאי מתוך ההפכה רב לשבת בעמק הבכה והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. הנערי יפרקוני ושפיקי תפארתך עמי היד בין ישי בין הלפיד קורא נפשי גאלה. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך ומי אורי, 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 שדברי, כבור ארנאי עלייך נגלה. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. 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 See if you remember this tune. One more time. L'chadodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. L'chadodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. Some of the old and some of the new. Mizmor shir, leyom HaShabbat. Tzadik hatamar yifara, ke'erez bavanon, yizke shetolim beveit Adonai, bechatzerot Eloheinu yaferechu, or yiruvum beseva, tishenim verananim yiyu, lagik yashar Adonai, tzuri, velo avelat tabo. Adonai malak lavish, lavish Adonai ozit hazar. Mikol mayim rabim adirim ishpereyam, adir bamarom Adonai edot echanenu meyot, levecha nava kodesh Adonai leorech yamim. I just want to take a minute. Once again, thanks Stan and Rick and all the boys for having me here. I want to share a few words of Torah with you. Is that all right?
And girls.
We got girls, but they're women. We can't call them girls. Women.
Margie will argue with you on that one.
I've been in trouble before. Anyway, so I just want to thank everyone, I want to share a few words of Torah, and then I understand after the words of Torah, we'll say a Kiddush D'Rabbanan together, which is a beautiful thing to do. One of the, what if I was to say to you that, well, some of you might agree with this. I mean, we were talking about 44, 50 years of marriage. I can't even imagine. But what if I was to tell you that the day that a couple gets married, you know, we say, Zeh hayom asa Adonai nagila v'nis b'chavo. This is the day that God has made for us, and we shall rejoice and be glad. That's what it says in Hallel, certainly, and we say it often at weddings. But you know, the actual day that a couple gets married is truly like a Yom Kippur in a sense. You're going to laugh. You're going to say, how could a wedding day be a Yom Kippur? Well, it means that in the year that you get married, you have 2 Yom Kippurim. One of the days is the Chatan and the Kala, or the couple. Today it could be a Kala and a Kala, or a Chatan and a Chatan. But whoever it is that's getting married has an obligation to fast. They're supposed to fast on that day. Why? Well, you think that, you know, a wedding day should be happy, but there's so much excitement of the wedding day, and it doesn't seem like it should be a Yom Kippur. But according to halacha, according to Jewish law, the Ramah, Rav Moshe Isserlis, said that a couple should fast on that wedding day in honor of the sins that they had committed previous to the marriage, that it should start out fresh, should be an atonement, that they should be gone. Well, in this parsha, Achrei Mot, and often when it's not a leap year, we talk about Achrei Mot and Kiddushim, the holiness, together. We have the death of Nadav and Avihu just happened. And Achrei Mot, it says, Achrei Mot, Shnei B'nei Aaron, B'korvatam Lifnei Hashem Bayamutu, it says. That God spoke to Moses after the death of Aaron's two sons, and after they had tried to approach God, and as a result, they died, and God saying to Moses, please speak to Aaron, tell him, your brother, that he shouldn't come behind that curtain in the sanctuary, because if he does, and he sees that cloud with that fire, he will also die. So my question is today, to all of you here, if we aren't allowed to see God, or touch God, or see his image, or have a dialogue with God, how can we love something? How can we love someone that you've never met, never touched, never seen, never had a back and forth dialogue? Think about today's dating world on the internet. Two people meet online, other countries, other cities, they talk back and forth, but they can see each other and they can fall in love, and they can get married, and perhaps even fast on that day one day. But imagine if you could book that Zoom call with God. Think about our relationship with God. Think about it. We can't see God. We can't have a conversation with God. Although I have a conversation with God, I talk to God, and he doesn't talk back. But it seems like a monologue. I'm always talking. I'm saying, God, please help so-and-so to make them better. God, please let my family have health. God, please bless our community with lots of Jewish children. But my father, and I spoke about him before, I'll talk about him again, he taught me a very important lesson in life. He answered me, he'd always say to me, who said life is fair? Life is not fair. Maybe he would have quoted the Rolling Stones and said, you can't always get what you want. But my father, he never quoted the Rolling Stones, but how many times in our tefillot and our daily prayers are we taught to love God? In fact, if in the Shema Yisrael, when you think about it, the very first paragraph, the first word that we say 3 times a day, the Shema, it says, Ve'ahavta et Adoshem Elohecha b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha, right? You shall love God with all of your heart, with all of your soul, and all of your might. And these words which I command to you this day, take it to heart. Wow. It's not a request. It's a commandment. It's a mitzvah to love God. Why? Because God gives us everything. God gives us everything. Hakol ba min hashamayim. Everything comes from God. In fact, Ramban explained that in medical treatments, when we receive a doctor's care, the doctor's only permitted to give us that care because he's only able to do so because God gives him that ability to do it. Even that, Hakol ba min hashamayim. I said he because in those days, in the times of Ramban, women weren't doctors yet. Today it's a he or a she. Hakol ba min hashamayim. Everything happens from the heavens. So we'll come back to the question and the topic in a minute or two. Let's just examine one thing quickly. Do you remember the Kohen Gadol? It had 2 male goats, and they took one, they slaughtered it on Yom Kippur. The other one was taken to the cliff, and they threw it off the cliff, off the mountain. Poor goat. A Kohen Gadol recited a confession, and he begged for forgiveness for the entire community of Israel. And afterwards, they took that goat and they threw him off a steep mountain. And the goat hit rocks and sharp stones and was torn apart. Would we do that today to an animal? Chas v'shalom, no. Today we have easier ways. We do tashlich. Throw away our Kleenex and our breadcrumbs and our Danishes into our pockets. But it's more humane, Baruch Hashem. But you know what? Was it necessary to spend all that money on an extra goat to throw it over? You didn't even get a barbecue. The price of meat today, I bet you they wouldn't do it. But the sages said, you got to spend that extra money. It has to also be part of it. And how many times do I have a bar mitzvah family that comes to me and they'll say, give him the cheapest tefillin you have out of the gift shop because he'll never wear them again after the bar mitzvah. And I say the opposite. Spend a little bit more. You spend so much money on everything. On a car, you wouldn't even think about it. Would you take a car without power steering today? No, or a radio? But tefillin, forget it. To buy a sukkah, forget it. To buy an etrog and a lulav, forget it. Spend the money on our physical necessities and our pleasures. At the end of the day, how do we love God? How do we have a relationship with God? Because we're created b'tselem Elokim. We're created as a human being by the virtue of our humanity, which consists of the ability, different than animals, to love all of mankind if we choose. We're fashioned in the image of God. And this means three things. And after all that I've said, this is all you have to remember. Human beings are like God in the sense that they know good from evil. Humans have the freedom to choose God, unlike animals, although we love our animals. And three, because people are created in God's image. All human life has a special value. And I think that that last sentence is the most important and worth repeating, because people are created in God's image and all human life has a special value. So how do we develop our relationship with God and to love God? And the answer is simple. With our relationships with our fellow human beings. The Torah doesn't say some people were fashioned in God's image. It says all people. So by fulfilling this one mitzvah in the Torah, it will lead to other mitzvot. And that's the way we'll develop our relationship with God. And through that relationship, we'll come to develop a love for God for thousands of years to come. Shabbat Shalom. Stan, over to you.
Sequoia. Okay, so everybody, if you'd like to unmute yourselves, you can do so. And Marshall, will you lead us?
Yes.
Thank you.
Amen.
Yitala, Shvediku Show, Echo, Ela Min Call, Bethatav, Sirata, God, we run, we are more, we will, Amen.
Amen.
You want to say Al Yisrael? Al Yisrael, Val Rabbanan, Val Tamideon, Yal Kol Tamideon, Yal Kol Man de Oski, Baraita, Viatra Hadim, Bechol Atar Vatar, Yehe Lahon, Lahon, Shalom Rabba, Ina Bechista Varacha, meaning Chayin Arichi, Uzone Raviche, Ufarkana, Mikana, Mavahon Divishmaya, Varavi, Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. Shemaya, Chayin Tovi,
Amen. Ose Shalom. Shalom. Hallelujah. Call Yisrael.
Amen.
Amen.
So I want to thank you, not just for the what you've done tonight, the nice words you said. They're all live. Nothing you said about me was true, believe me. But he's still a good guy. And thank you very much, Marshall. It's wonderful to have you on here. It's wonderful to have you close enough. And I think that I got to tell you, when you started doing the Rising Sun for Lachadodi, I could see certain people, they were grooving to that one.
Well, good.
Margie was, I saw that, and Neb, forget it. Neb is just crazy. So it's okay. He was having a great time. And even Peter, the dean, was doing it. You know, he was having a good time. So we had a great, and Sharon, I saw, it's like the old romper. Remember that? Right. Mm-hmm. I see Bruce and I see Sandy
and I see
everybody was having a good time. You were doing great, Marshall. Thank you very, very much this evening.
We're going to end with the song?
Go ahead.
All right, let's sing Shalom Aleichem together. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Sharei Malachei Ayon, Mi Melech Malachei Hakadosh Baruch Hu, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu, Malachei Ayon, Mi Melech Malachei Hakadosh Baruch Hu, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim,
Thank you, Marshall. Alan, it's nice to see you here.
Hi there. Sorry I was late. I came back from a treatment and I wanted to log in for a few minutes. How are you?
No, how are you doing? How's things going?
I'm getting better. Thank you.
Good. Marshall, Alan Sokoloff is another cantor who's done this before.
Alan, I know Alan very well. And Alan
is in Toronto.
Alan, listen, you got to hear this. I'm doing a wedding coming up in a month. And you were involved in the conversion with Harvey Marovich back in the Beth Shalom days with Justin Fromm.
Sure.
Anyway, your signature's on it, but I was just thinking about you and talking about you yesterday. Nice to see you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to see you in person.
It's good to see you again. It's good to see you back with us, Alan.
A little earlier, but I apologize for that.
No, Al. Listen, Alan, it's lovely to see you no matter what. Maybe you'll come back and do another one soon.
I'd be thrilled.
Great.
When I have a little bit of hair.
Well, you're doing okay. You're looking marvelous.
Thank you. It started growing back a couple of weeks ago.
Good.
Alan, you should have a refuah shlema and only good health in the future and be healthy and gesund.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And if you see Phil Shine, tell him I said hello.
I see him every week. I'll tell him 100%.
Thank you.
Okay. Baruch Hashem. All right, everyone.
Shalom, everybody.
Marshall's got another gig now. He's got to go do his shul stuff.
Okay.
Have a good week.
Shabbat shalom.
Have a great week, guys. And ladies, for those. Shabbos is here.